January AD 41. Caligula slips into a narrow corridor beneath the palace, flushed from the games. His own praetorians are waiting. Cassius Chaerea, the officer Caligula taunted daily for his soft voice, strikes first. 30 blades follow and keep cutting long after he falls. Then they hunt down his wife, Ciconia, and his baby daughter and kill them too. The god emperor of Rome dies in a passage under his own roof, butchered by the men sworn to protect him. The Purple's first lesson: the nearest hand holds the knife. New Year's Eve, AD 192. Commodus the emperor, who called himself Hercules and fought in the arena for applause, sinks into his bath. Already poisoned by wine, his mistress Marcia slipped him. But he vomits it up, and the plot starts to unravel. So the conspirators send in Narcissus, his own wrestling partner. Narcissus wraps his hands around the emperor's throat and squeezes until Rome's living god goes still in the water. The films gave him a hero's death. The truth strangled him, naked and alone. Spring, AD 217. A dusty road near Carrhae. Caracalla, who murdered his own brother to rule alone, stops to relieve himself and waves his guards back. A soldier named Julius Martialis, whose brother Caracalla had just executed, steps close as if with a message. Instead, he drives a dagger into the emperor's back. The master of the Roman world dies half-dressed in the dirt, dropped midstream by one of his own bodyguards. Within hours, his prefect Macrinus wore the purple. Even an emperor dies with his tunic up. June, AD 68. Nero. The last of Caesar's blood flees Rome barefoot in a torn cloak as the Senate declares him a public enemy, to be flogged to death in the old way. He hides in a freedman's villa and orders his own grave dug. He cannot make himself do it. Then hooves thunder closer. "What an artist dies in me," he whispers, and his secretary Epaphroditus drives the blade into his throat for him. The dynasty of Augustus ends in a stranger's garden, finished by a borrowed hand. March, AD 222. Elagabalus is 18, and the praetorians he once bribed have turned on him. They storm the camp, and the boy emperor and his mother, Julia Soaemius, run. Some say the guards drag him from a latrine. They behead them both, then haul the bodies through Rome by the heels. They try to force his corpse into a sewer it won't fit, so they weight it and throw it into the Tiber. A mother and her son tumbling in the current. Rome remembered him just long enough to erase him. September, AD 96. Domitian has dreaded this hour. A fortune-teller swore he would die at midday. His steward Stephanus has worn a bandage on his arm for days, faking the wound underneath. Inside it, a dagger. Stephanus hands the emperor a scroll naming plotters, and as Domitian reads, the blade comes out and buries itself in his groin. He grabs for the sword under his pillow. Someone has already taken it. 7 more wounds finish him on the floor. The tyrant who feared everyone never suspected the bandage. December, AD 69. Vespasian's men drag Vitellius from a doorkeeper's hut where he'd hidden behind a mattress. They loop a rope around his neck and haul him through Rome, a sword point under his chin forcing him to lift his face for the mob to spit on. On the Gemonian stairs where the condemned were dumped, they cut him down slowly, blow by blow. "Yet I was once your emperor," he says. Then a hook drags his body to the Tiber. 8 months on the throne bought him this. December, AD 211. Julia Domna has spent months begging her sons to stop hating each other. Tonight she believes she has peace and summons Geta, unarmed. Instead, Caracalla's centurions burst through the door. Geta runs to the one person who might save him and dies in his mother's arms, her robes soaked with his blood. She is forbidden even to weep for him. Grief itself becomes treason. Then Caracalla hunts down 20,000 of Geta's friends. In Rome, not even a mother's embrace could stop the blade. AD 193. Pertinax has ruled just 86 days, a hard old soldier trying to drag the pampered praetorians back to discipline. They don't want discipline, they want gold. A mob of them marches on the palace, and Pertinax walks out to reason with them, calm and unarmed. They cut him down where he stands and carry his head through Rome on a spear. Then they do what no army had ever dared. They auction the empire itself to the highest bidder. The throne of the Caesars, sold like a horse. May, A. D. 238. Maximinus, a giant said to tower over every man in Rome, has besieged Aquileia for weeks. His camp is starving, the river running foul with the enemy's dead. At noon his own soldiers tear his portrait from the standards and march on his tent. He steps out with his son to speak, and they kill them both where they stand. 2 heads are hacked off and carried to Rome as proof. The strongest man in the empire, felled by the starving men he had led there. A D. 275. Aurelian, the general who reconquered a shattered empire and earned the title Restorer of the World, is marching east when one lie catches up with him. His secretary, Eros, caught in a small deceit and terrified, forges a death list in the emperor's own name. He shows the officers their names on it. Believing they will die by morning, they ambush Aurelian on the road and cut him down. The man no enemy could beat was killed by a piece of paper and a frightened clerk. June, AD 363, deep in Persia. Julian's invasion has collapsed into a desperate retreat, his army starving under a furnace sun. When the rear guard is ambushed, he charges in to rally them and in his haste forgets his armor. A spear comes out of the dust and tears through his side. He dies that night, 31, far from home. No one ever learned whose spear it was, a Persian's or one of his own men settling a score. Sometimes the killer simply melts back into the ranks. August, AD 378, outside Adrianople. Valens has attacked without waiting for reinforcements, and the Goths encircle 2/3 of the eastern army and butcher it. Wounded, the emperor is carried to a nearby farmhouse. The Goths, not knowing an emperor lies inside, pile wood against the walls and set them ablaze. It was recorded that Valens burned alive in that little house, calling for men who were already dead. His body was never found. An emperor of Rome vanished into smoke with no grave to mark him. A D. 476. Basiliscus has lost his throne, and the rival reclaiming it, Zeno, swears a holy oath. Not one drop of Basiliscus's blood will be spilled. Zeno keeps that word precisely. He seals Basiliscus, his wife Zenonis, and their small son inside a dry stone cistern in the Cappadocian hills and walls them in. No blade, no blood, just a family in the dark, listening to one another starve. Days later, the crying stops. An emperor kept alive by a promise and killed by its exact wording. September, AD 1185, Constantinople. For once, not a guard or a soldier. Andronikos has terrorized the city for years, and now the city takes him. The mob drags him from his throne, and for 3 days they own him. They tear out his beard and teeth, hack off his hand, blind an eye, pour boiling water over him, parade him on a camel as thousands strike. Still he will not beg. At last they string him up in the hippodrome. Not one assassin a whole city with its bare hands. 15 emperors, 15 men who ruled the world, and 15 times the blow came from inside the walls. Whether by a wrestler's grip, a hidden blade, a burning roof, or a city's bare hands, they all learned the same thing. The crown was never a shield, it was a sentence.